Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we are taking a first look at the brand new Mercedes EQS SUV. Now this is the third model to be based on the EQ platform after the EQS and the EQE. Of course, the SUV, a new look, new form factor, new technology, and today we're going to take a complete tour of the car. We'll talk about the different derivatives, we'll take a look at the very luxurious interior and some of the technology, touch on the off-roading side of it, and lots of the things you might not know about from under the skin of this brand new model just being launched. A first opportunity to check out the new EQS SUV. There is a lot to the new EQS SUV. We're going to have a full look through the car, talk about some of the technical side of things, the battery, the different versions, the motors, but also check out some of the extraordinary technology. For example, the digital light headlights, which even project an image onto the wall in front. We'll take a look at that. We'll run through the interior. So at launch of the EQS SUV, there are a few different models. You have the 450 Plus available with rear-wheel drive or with the 4MATIC, the four-wheel drive system. Those have a 265 kilowatt motor, which is 360 horsepower, and you have the EQS SUV 580 4MATIC, which has a 400 kilowatt motor, which is 544 horsepower. Now the EQS SUV joins the Mercedes EQ family. The S represents the largest form factor. The EQ models you have the C, the E, the S. Like the traditional Mercedes cars, the EQS SUV is the luxury flagship, we can say. You've got that distinct identity at the front with the star panel grille that we've seen on the various models, and it's a very quickly growing family with, of course, the direction these things are taking. Now, as we come round towards the side of the car, you can see this is a large form factor. It's built on this platform which can be adjusted. It's the same wheelbase here as the regular EQS, 3 meters and 21 centimeters long. The car actually sits a touch shorter, 9 centimeters shorter at 5 meters and 12 centimeters, but that's still quite a large car. It's a touch smaller than the GLS, the combustion engine equivalent, but this is built as an electric car from the ground up. It's not a combustion engine car where they've shoehorned in the batteries and motors, and that means it can have quite a different design. And you can see the seamless flowing lines and shapes of the car, the way you have a lot of glass towards the side, the way you have very clean panels. Obviously, aerodynamic efficiency is the height of importance with something like this, even the small things that we'll go through in a little bit more detail. Now, I'd quite like to show you this light presentation at the front. So let's come back towards the front of the car so I can unlock it and give you a little bit of a demonstration. The digital light technology I remember seeing for the first time quite a few years ago. Very clever headlights, and in fact you've got these three eyebrows. The EQS or the S models have the triple lights, you've got the twins on the E's, and you've got single lights on the C, so you can instantly tell, even with the car behind you, which one is arriving and coming through. But if I just unlock it, have a look at what it does on the wall as it wakes up. You get this little presentation. You can set custom things. You've got the Mercedes-Benz logo. Now, of course, that's down to focal lengths and the slightly angled wall, how it looks, but very, very clever levels of technology, because if you think about the real-world applications of this, it actually projects onto the ground in front of you as you arrive towards roadworks or to a crossing to let pedestrians go, or to even potentially guide you with navigation and things down the line. There's so much that can be done with this, as well as blocking out oncoming objects while giving you a perfectly clear field of view all around them. Very, very clever stuff. So if we come in and look at things a little bit more closely then, starting around the front, of course this new star panel grille has grown slightly in height. You can see the Mercedes stars that actually make up all of the shapes within it. Obviously, the importance for a car like this is being very, very aerodynamic, being as clean as possible through the air, having the lowest possible drag coefficient, and that will be announced for this car in the not too distant future. But for example, minimal panel gaps. Everything is very smooth in the way it's presented. The bonnet is one single piece all the way around towards the sides. There are no awkward lines or gaps that impact the airflow. Because it's raised up, it sits actually 20 centimeters taller than the EQS itself, 10 centimeters lower than the GLS though. We've got these contrast pieces around the wheels, continuing down the sides, and in fact talking wheels. Come and have a closer look at this. We've got the 21-inch wheel here. There's an optional 22, but it's got this star pattern. Obviously, by having these panels closing up the gaps between the spokes, you both get the benefits of having the aerodynamic efficiency, but you also have the extra appearance here, with enough being left open for the cooling of the brakes that's required, and there's an optional wheel that's an inch larger. Now, one thing I find quite fun about this, before obviously we get to the interior, is the running boards. So running boards obviously help entry and exit from the vehicle, but they serve two purposes here. That, and also by enlarging the width of the under tray, it helps with the aero, and even the way it's stepped underneath actually helps with that even further. So it's more clever than just, let's have some steps to get in the car. Things like the door handles sit in flush, again for aerodynamic or airflow benefits while it's being driven. And then as you come towards the back, another thing that really stands out to me is here on the tail lights. It's quite hard to see, but there's a little kink just inside the lens of the tail light there, and that is again to help with the airflow across the back of the car. Another thing in terms of the driving, it's a big car, but you have rear wheel steering. And in fact, on this car, 4.5 degrees of rear wheel steering is actually standard. You can unlock the total 10 degrees, as we saw in the S-Class, to help the car turn almost on a sixpence despite its significantly larger size. So there's a lot of trickery going on in terms of the driving side of things, keeping the weight very low with the batteries through the floor sitting underneath you so they don't impact your seating position or anything like that when you're actually in the EQS SUV. You've got the black for the roof, which gives it this slightly lower visual effect. If you imagined this being in colour, for example, it would make the car feel taller than it is. This panel here actually houses all of the connectivity side of things, so all your sensors, radars, so you don't need to have a antenna on the roof. Sorry, radars would be in the front or in the rear, but housing lots of the technology to avoid having to have any very inconvenient antennas. Again, the air and the side parts that you have here. This continuous brake light, again, part of the EQ family identity, having that brake light that runs the full width across the back. And normally on an SUV, you'd have a step coming out beneath the boot. They've done away with the step, again, to help with airflow. Everything about it, like with the EQS, a class leader for its aerodynamic profile. This, without the official numbers at this stage, I think we can assume will do similarly, because there's stuff happening you don't consider. Down here, beneath this trim, have a look at these. You've got these winglets, which again are about extending the flat floor underneath to just help in every possible way. All very, very tidily integrated. And it has the automatic opening boot, which detected me as I popped my arm underneath, obviously to help and make life a little bit more comfortable. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's go and take a look at the interior though, because that's where this gets very, very nice. This is where we enter a world of luxury and technology inside the EQS SUV, and the first thing that you really notice is this entire dashboard is the Hyperscreen. This was launched with the S-Class, the EQS and the EQE, but basically combining 3 different screens that offer different bits of information. But not only that, just looking around, we've got the extended leather in here, so the dual tone with the Biscaya blue with the rose gold stitching, and also the Neva grey through the central console, the seats and all around. It is a very, very nice place to be. As you can tell, all of the fittings and finishings, obviously to the highest quality. For the trim panels, we've got the magnolia wood with these yacht-like aluminium inserts. And they're actually going to be launching a new dedicated trim as well that will feature the star pattern that you've seen on the grille and on the wheels, for example, as part of that trim. The steering wheel, obviously with the Neva grey leather, but also with some of your various controls on the piano black through the inserts. Now, I want to press the start button just to wake this up so I can show you a little bit through what the car offers us on these screens. Obviously, you've got the very large navigation map presented in the center, and this is where you can run through the full MBUX. You can see all sorts of different things, including off-road, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But the MBUX allows you to communicate with the car however you would like. You could literally talk to it in natural language. You could change climate control settings. You could change any element of the car's software by talking to it, by just saying, hey, and then the brand name of the car. If I said it, it would obviously kick in right now. On the driver's dashboard, you can configure and change these settings almost endlessly as well. We've got an off-road display at the moment, but so many more things through this that you can actually configure and set up, whether you want a large navigation map or whether you want a more, let's say, traditional display up there as well. You can set all of this to your heart's desire. There are so many different screens, pages and settings, but the idea is that it's all very easy to use. Whatever you're looking for can be accessed instantly, and it learns. So if you're driving home from work every day and you always call your partner, it will ask you when you step into the car when you drive home from work, would you like to call now? And you just press one button and away you go. It's that simple. And equally in terms of the EV charging, if you need to charge and it has a peak charging rate of 200 kilowatts, you could charge at home with 11 kilowatts by default, or upgrade to the 22 kilowatt option to use on 3-phase. It can calculate the intelligent charging with Mercedes Me Charge based on how much charge you'd like at the end, and lots of clever functionality which just make life really quite easy to live with. Now, the other thing that's offered by this, through the 12.3-inch display towards the passenger side, that can be used for watching media, entertainment, but it has gaze control. So if I, as the driver, look over and focus my gaze on that screen, the car will know about it and it will stop that video from playing to make sure that I'm not being distracted. If I look further over towards the door mirror, that's not a problem, but specifically at that screen, it's going to be taking control of that. You have gesture control, so you can wave and interact with things and it will know what you're doing in that respect as well. You've obviously got seats that are heated and cooled and electric controlled and memory and have massaging functionality, you name it, plus these rather nice pillows up top as well, which all make it feel extra luxurious as an experience. Everything you look at, this light strip that runs around, and one of the fun things with the lighting is that you can actually change it to display waves of light depending on what you're doing. If you're accelerating or if you're braking, it can change the colours and give you this kind of all-around encompassing feeling of exactly what's happening. Now, with the dynamic modes, which you control through the selector just here, if we show up on the screen how exactly these work. Oh, I do need to turn it on first, so there we go. In the centre, we've got comfort, the mode we've got selected at the moment. Of course, you could go up to sport or even into individual, and you get the sound effects that go with it. You can configure those, by the way, and change those. Or you can go to eco or even to off-road. Now, in off-road mode, of course, you're going to get some different graphics, which can show you exactly what you're doing, but it will raise the vehicle by 25 millimeters, 2.5 centimeters, approximately 1 inch. It will obviously change the configuration of the suspension, the traction, and all of those different things that you would expect to go with the off-road mode. Plus, you can bring up different graphics on the screen to show you exactly what's going on here on the off-road display, to see elements of the tyre pressures, the suspension and what that's doing, temperatures, your position, drive, and all sorts of other bits of information that go with the fact that you're taking your EQS SUV off-road. Just don't get lost too far away from an electric charging port. That's all I'll advise in that respect. Now, in terms of storage, because the batteries sit under you, it means you've got this amazing space here in the central tunnel. There are lots of USB-C ports you'll start to notice all around, and even a strap there to hold some things down. Up above that, beneath this trim panel here, if we open this up, more USB-C ports. You can pop your key in here. You've got a wireless charging pad. You've also got your cup holders. You're going to start to notice a theme. This car has 12 USB-C ports. You're not going to be short of charging your devices, even if you're traveling with 7 people. Open up the armrest, very big storage bucket, and again, we've got a pair of USB-C ports tucked in inside there. But I really like all the details, even the ambient lighting that runs around the side of the seat. As you can see from the perforations here, obviously that help with the cooling, but also the presentation. It's just a wonderful place to be. The entire feeling in here, the very large glass roof naturally, and this is before we get to the rear seat entertainment and everything that's offered back there, and even touch on the safety and assistance systems. And you can bet this car offers you everything that you could possibly want from such a vehicle. Your electric seat controls work quite cleverly as well. They don't physically move like they used to. You just basically touch it and it moves the seat in the direction that you are obviously electing for it to go. We've got the Burmester sound system. We've got lots of lovely stuff. But let's jump into the back and I'll show you a little bit more of what we've got there. The fun continues back here. We've got a lot of technology, starting with the rear seat entertainment, where we have the tablets mounted to the back of the seats. Now, through these, of course, you can extend the controls you have from up front. You have even more entertainment going on. For example, down here, surprise, surprise, not only do we have more USB-C ports, but we also have twin HDMI ports down there also to plug in different devices. We've got the climate control panel right above. There's plenty of space. Now, this is one of the benefits of that gloss black roof. It keeps the headroom for the passengers in the rear. And with the extended leather, by the way, even the grab handles are leather finished, which is very, very nice, along with the top rolls of the doors and plenty other elements around it. Now, if I just pull open the central armrest, we have our tablet here, which again can either be removed or can give us control of the various different bits of functionality. Nice and easy, that just sits in there and obviously will give us all sorts of further elements. Things back here like the continued electric seats and heated seats and you name it, we have absolutely everything. We've got more storage in here with the wireless phone charging. We've also got some cup holders that pop out from the front. But this is not all actually, by the way. The extended leather comes with the pillows back here as standard also. It's a very, very nice place to be in the back. But I want to show you how practical it is and the way you can fold everything forwards. As we saw earlier, you can either open the boot by waving below it, pressing on the key, or the slightly more traditional way with our powerfold tailgate opening up to reveal that this car has the optional 7-seat configuration. Of course, you can have it with just the 5 seats, in which case you'll have slightly more space and a spare wheel in the boot as well, or the 7-seat configuration where we've got a little bit of storage currently hiding away the parcel shelf cover, or you could pop your EV charging cables or something back there. We've also got a 12-volt socket back here, and we've got the controls on this side to fold forwards the seats. So a press of these and effectively it will fold the seat forward to make it possible then to do manually the rear seats. Now if we come round, I can show you the other way that this is done. Just inside here on the top of the seat you have the button to fold it all forwards, and you can quickly see it's actually doing the front seat, it's doing the rear bench, and this obviously makes it easy to climb through to enter in towards those rear seats, which you do, as I said, have to fold up manually. It's quite easy to do. Just give it a pull from here, pushes up into place, and you can see from around the back that that is now up and in place as you'd want it to be. One touch to then fold the seats back again. So nice and easy operation to get that done. If you have all of the seats folded up, you've got 190 litres of space back here. If you have the third row folded down, it goes up to 560. If you have the whole lot folded down, of course, for the maximum space, you get 2,020 litres of luggage, 2,100 litres with the 5-seat configuration. So you're not going to be short on space, as you'd probably hope to be the case in such a large SUV, and certainly very easy in terms of all of the operation. What we have here to take a quick look at is the platform on which these models are based, and you can see from the graphic behind the EQE, EQS, EQE SUV, EQS SUV, so we're effectively looking at the EQS setup here, but the battery pack's staying flat between the axles. You've got the 12 cells in the EQS, you've got the 10 cells in the EQE, which is slightly less in terms of the power capacity, but the EQS has the air suspension as standard. You can see with the dual motor setup, you've got the motor up front on the front axle. If you just have the rear wheel drive version, in the case of the EQS SUV, the 450 Plus, you would just have the setup to the rear of the car, the rear motor, with your charging port up towards the rear right of it as well. But obviously all very future tech in comparison with not all that long ago, but a platform very much created from the outset, from the very beginning, with this goal in mind, with the idea of making this into obviously a series of different electric vehicles in the EQ family. This, of course, is a first look at the EQS SUV. This is still early days, I suppose, in the world of the electric car family. Mercedes-Benz very quickly adding new models to that portfolio. The EQS SUV, I suppose, was always to be expected. We saw the concept of the car, I think, about 6 months or so ago. In fact, I went to see that at the IAA in Munich. The car now in production form, mimicking that identity, bringing the family feel to the SUV form factor, and no doubt there'll be an EQE SUV and more models to arrive in the future as well, including perhaps some AMG derivatives, as we've seen with the EQS and other members of that family. For today, though, I've been impressed by the amount of luxury the car offers. We've scratched on the surface of the technology. There is so much to it. But this is a first look, and hopefully there'll be an opportunity to get behind the wheel at some point in the not too distant future to find out a little bit more about it. That's it for now, though. Thank you very much for watching. As always, your support is hugely appreciated, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers!